Hello, everyone. She was told she was too tall, too angular, too unconventional. Erin O'Connor did not just walk the runway, she dominated it. With her impossibly long neck, her sharp cheekbones, and her almost statuesque stillness, she became the living embodiment of high fashion. In an era obsessed with symmetry and perfection, Erin was a deliberate disruption. She was not a beauty in the traditional sense, and that was exactly her power. Designers like Alexander McQueen and Galliano saw in her what others missed in otherworldly elegance that could not be copied. Her rise was not smooth, her defiance was quiet but constant, and her presence unshakable. This is the story of the woman who turned too different into untouchable. Erin O'Connor was born in 1978 in the small industrial town of Brown Hills, West Midlands, England. It was a place far removed from the runways of Paris and Milan, a town defined by coal mines, working-class grit, and an unpretentious sense of community. Her father worked as a lorry driver, and her mother was a hairdresser. Life was simple, practical, and modest. There was no glamour, no couture, no whispers of the fashion world. What there was, however, was a strong work ethic and a deep sense of resilience. From an early age, Erin stood out quite literally. By the time she was a teenager, she was already over 6 feet tall. Her height made her self-conscious. She slouched to appear smaller. She avoided drawing attention to herself. Classmates often teased her, calling her giraffe or beanpole. But her mother, ever perceptive, encouraged her to embrace what made her different. She taught Erin to see beauty in individuality, even when the world did not. Still, Erin could not yet imagine her future in fashion. She was far more interested in art, literature, and creative expression. She attended Brown Hills Comprehensive School, where she was quiet but observant. Teachers described her as a dreamer, someone who saw the world differently. She was drawn to theater and performance, but rarely put herself in the spotlight. Her upbringing was defined by a mix of modesty and curiosity. The O'Connors did not have much money, but they valued self-expression. Erin would spend hours in thrift shops, piecing together eccentric outfits that combined vintage finds with a touch of drama. She was unknowingly building the eye for styling that would one day make her unforgettable on the runway. There were no clear signs that she would enter the modeling industry. She had no interest in glossy magazines, no posters of supermodels on her walls. But there was something quietly magnetic about her, a stillness that would later become her greatest strength. Her childhood instilled in her two defining traits, humility and determination. She learned to work hard without expecting instant rewards. She learned that standing out could be a curse or a gift depending on how you used it. And in Erin's case, fate would soon give her the stage to use it. It happened by accident. In 1995, Erin O'Connor was just another 17-year-old student on a school trip to Birmingham. She and her classmates were exploring the Clothes Show Live, a popular fashion exhibition, when a scout noticed her. At first, Erin thought it was a joke. She had never considered herself model material. She was too tall, too pale, too unusual. But the scout saw something different, the kind of unique, otherworldly quality that could not be manufactured. She was given a card for a local modeling agency. Erin hesitated. She had no experience in fashion, no idea how the industry worked, and a deep skepticism about whether she even belonged in it. But curiosity won. She booked a test shoot. From the very first photographs, it was clear she was not like anyone else. Her long limbs and sharp angles gave her a sculptural quality, as if she were carved for couture. She did not pose in the traditional way she inhabited the clothes, turning each frame into a piece of art. That early work led to a fateful introduction to Models One in London, one of the most prestigious agencies in the country. It was a leap from the quiet streets of Brown Hills to the buzzing heart of the British fashion scene. Erin's first runway season was a shock both for her and for the industry. This was the era of polished glamour, of smile and strut supermodels. And here came Erin, towering, pale, and utterly unapologetic about her unusual beauty. She did not blend in. She disrupted the space. Her breakthrough came when she caught the eye of designer Alexander McQueen. Known for his love of the unconventional, McQueen saw in Erin the perfect embodiment of his vision beauty that was haunting, challenging, and unforgettable. Walking for him was unlike anything she had experienced: theatrical, dangerous, exhilarating. Around the same time, photographer Stephen Maisel began championing her. Maisel had a knack for spotting the future, and in Erin, he saw a muse who could redefine the boundaries of editorial fashion. Through his lens, she transformed from awkward teenager to high fashion icon. But not everyone was ready for her. Early in her career, casting directors sometimes rejected her outright. Too tall, they would say. Too strange. Some even advised her to change her look to be more commercial. Erin refused. She decided, consciously, to lean into what made her different. She shaved her eyebrows. She embraced severe styling. She learned to command silence on the runway, no smiling, no overt emotion, just presence. And slowly, the industry adjusted to her instead of the other way around. Within 2 years of being discovered, she was walking for the most prestigious names in fashion: Jean Paul Gaultier, John Galliano, Versace. Her face began appearing in Vogue editorials around the world. The girl from Brown Hills had become a fixture on the global stage. It was not luck. It was not just timing. It was the undeniable truth that Erin O'Connor did not look like anyone else, and she refused to apologize for it. By the late 1990s, Erin O'Connor had gone from the new odd face in London to one of the most sought-after runway models in the world. She was not just booked, she was requested. Designers wanted her not because she fit the mold, but because she shattered it. When Erin walked, there was no performance in the conventional sense. Her stride was long, her posture regal, her expression unreadable. She became a moving sculpture, an extension of the designer's imagination. Alexander McQueen once called her a dream to dress. John Galliano referred to her as the perfect canvas. And Jean Paul Gaultier famously said she had the face of tomorrow. These were not empty compliments. Erin had become a muse to some of the most visionary minds in fashion. In the early 2000s, she dominated both couture and ready-to-wear seasons. She opened and closed shows for Dior, Valentino, Givenchy, and Chanel. Her ability to adapt to be severe one moment, ethereal the next, made her invaluable. She could be a Victorian ghost in one show and a futuristic warrior in the next. Editorially, Erin was everywhere. She graced the covers of Vogue in multiple countries, starred in striking campaigns for Gucci, Prada, and Dolce & Gabbana, and became a fixture in Stephen Maisel's meticulously crafted stories. But beyond the bookings, Erin was changing the conversation about beauty. In a sea of symmetrical, traditionally perfect faces, hers stood as a reminder that fashion's true power lies in the unexpected. Her elongated frame, angular features, and almost monastic presence were not softened for commercial appeal, they were celebrated. Off the runway, she carried herself with the same quiet authority. Erin was known for her professionalism, her calm in the chaos of Fashion Week, and her refusal to play into the celebrity model culture. She did not court tabloid attention. She did not present a carefully crafted, relatable persona. She remained, in many ways, an enigma. Her presence was magnetic precisely because it was so controlled. She gave just enough for people to look and never enough for them to fully understand. At her peak, Erin was not just a model. She was an idea, a living challenge to the fashion industry's obsession with conformity. And in that role, she was untouchable. Erin O'Connor's career was built not on fitting in, but on standing apart and protecting that difference at all costs. From the beginning, she rejected the industry's constant pressure to conform. When casting directors suggested she cut her hair to soften her features or wear heavy makeup to look warmer, She declined. Her severe center-parted hair, bare face, and minimalist styling became part of her signature. She did not try to sell girl-next-door charm. She sold power, precision, and poise. She also refused to chase celebrity status. While many of her contemporaries embraced commercial campaigns and Hollywood connections, Erin remained firmly in the realm of high fashion. She chose work based on creative value, not just paycheck size. This meant turning down lucrative offers that did not align with her vision. She famously said, "If the work does not feel like an art form, it is not for me." Her difference was not only aesthetic, it was also in how she carried herself. Erin became known as one of the most vocal advocates for model rights in the UK. She co-founded the Model Sanctuary during London Fashion Week, a safe space where models could rest, eat, and talk openly about the pressures they faced. In an industry notorious for pushing young women to their breaking point, Erin's activism stood out. She also spoke openly about body image, not in the way tabloids wanted, but in a way that challenged the entire system. She did not deny that fashion could be toxic, but she refused to let it strip her of self-worth. Her message to young models was clear: you are more than your measurements. Erin's resistance to the traditional supermodel narrative also extended to aging. While others feared the end of their careers in their 30s, Erin embraced longevity. She continued to walk major runways well into her 40s, proving that elegance and skill do not expire. Designers valued her more with time, not less. She never smiled for the sake of approachability. She never changed her bone structure to fit trends. She never apologized for the space she took up physically or creatively. In a business that thrives on reinvention, Erin's power came from consistency. She stayed herself, and in doing so, she forced fashion to bend toward her, rather than bending herself to fit fashion. For someone so deeply embedded in high fashion, Erin O'Connor's disappearance from the spotlight felt abrupt. One season, she was closing couture shows in Paris, and the next, she was gone not in scandal, but in silence. The truth was far more personal than dramatic. Years of relentless work had taken a physical and emotional toll. Fashion weeks blurred into each other. Flights became a second home, and the constant demand to be on drained her. She spoke later about feeling hollowed out, not in love with the work the way she once had been. In 2008, she stepped back almost entirely from the runway. Some assumed she had retired quietly, others whispered about industry politics, claiming her stark look had fallen out of favor as fashion shifted toward more commercial faces. But Erin's absence was her choice, a decision to protect her sanity and sense of self before the machine could consume her. Away from the cameras, she focused on her advocacy work, mentoring young models and continuing to push for industry reform. But she also began building a personal life that had long been on hold. In 2014, she became a mother, something she had once thought incompatible with the life of a working model. Motherhood shifted her priorities, grounding her even further outside of fashion's relentless pace. Still, there were moments when she re-emerged, and when she did, the industry took notice. Her return to the runway for designers like Jean Paul Gaultier and Valentino was met with reverence. She had not changed to fit the new era of Instagram models. Instead, she carried the same magnetic stillness that had defined her from the start. But the years away had also deepened her aura of mystery. Erin never explained every choice, never offered a full narrative. She let the absences speak as loudly as the appearances. That restraint kept her image intact, untouched by overexposure. Today, she moves between roles: occasional model, the industry mentor, activist, and mother. She no longer needs to dominate every runway season to hold her place in fashion history. She has already done the work, and in her absence, the industry has learned something rare, that some presences do not fade when they step away. Erin O'Connor's disappearance was never about being forgotten. It was about choosing when and if the world gets to see her. Erin O'Connor's legacy is not measured in the number of campaigns she booked or the seasons she dominated. It is in the shift she caused a recalibration of what beauty could mean on the runway. She stood as living proof that fashion's most enduring icons are often the ones who refuse to be edited into perfection. Her height, her angular features, her unflinching presence, these were once seen as obstacles. She turned them into her greatest weapons. For young models who do not see themselves in glossy, commercial ideals, Erin is a roadmap. She proved that you can be entirely yourself and still be not just accepted, but celebrated. Her activism for model rights, her work in creating safe spaces backstage, and her advocacy for diversity in beauty standards will outlast any single runway appearance. She did not just walk in clothes, she walked with purpose. Even now, when she steps onto a catwalk, it feels like an event. Not because of nostalgia, but because her presence still commands silence, still reminds us that elegance is not trend-based, and still whispers that some forms of beauty are timeless, precisely because they never tried to please everyone. Maybe Erin O'Connor did not fade from fashion. Maybe she just taught it how to look deeper,